In the depths of space, humanity's diplomatic mission to the Galactic Federation was met with hostility. Captain Nathaniel Blake, commander of the starship Indomitable, received the message with a steely resolve. The Zarnak, a reptilian race known for their ruthlessness, had issued an ultimatum. Earth must surrender its resources or face annihilation. Blake stood on the bridge, staring at the holographic projection of the Zarnak ambassador. "Earth will never surrender," he declared, his voice firm. The crew around him nodded in silent agreement. Humanity had come too far to be bullied by anyone, let alone a race like the Zarnak. The ambassador's reptilian eyes narrowed, and his scaled lips curled into a sneer. "You are making a grave mistake, Captain Blake. Your primitive world cannot hope to stand against the might of the Zarnak Empire." "We may be primitive by your standards," Blake retorted, "but we've faced threats before and survived. We will not be intimidated." The ambassador's image flickered before vanishing, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Blake turned to his crew, his eyes scanning their faces. "We need to prepare for the worst. Alert all ships and prepare for battle. I want our defenses at full capacity." Lieutenant Commander Harris, a seasoned officer with a scar running down his left cheek, stepped forward. "What about the StarDestroyer, sir? Should we deploy it?" Blake hesitated for a moment, weighing the options. The StarDestroyer was Earth's last resort, a secret weapon hidden from even their closest allies. Its power was unparalleled, but revealing it now could change the balance of power in the galaxy. "Not yet," he finally decided. "We'll hold that card close for now. Let's see how the Zarnak play their hand first." Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, hidden from the prying eyes of both human and alien alike, lay Earth's greatest secret, the StarDestroyer. This colossal warship, constructed in secret, was the pinnacle of human engineering. It was equipped with weapons capable of wiping out entire fleets and defenses that could withstand any known attack. Blake received the go-ahead from the United Earth Council. The message was brief, but clear. Initiate Operation Stardust. He knew what this meant. It was time to reveal the StarDestroyer. "It's time," he said, turning to Harris. "Prepare the StarDestroyer for launch." In a fortified bunker beneath the Pacific, Chief Engineer Samantha Reyes oversaw the StarDestroyer's final checks. The massive ship had been years in the making, a project shrouded in secrecy and protected by layers of security. Reyes had been there from the beginning, watching as the vessel took shape and grew into the behemoth it was now. "All systems are green, Captain," Reyes reported through the secure comlink. "We're ready for launch." "Understood, Chief," Blake replied. "Initiate launch sequence." The ocean above the StarDestroyer began to churn and bubble as the massive vessel powered up. Gigantic turbines roared to life, displacing millions of gallons of water. The ground shook as the StarDestroyer slowly ascended, breaking through the surface in a spectacle of raw power. On board the Indomitable, the crew watched in awe as the StarDestroyer emerged from the depths. The sight was both inspiring and intimidating. Harris couldn't help but smile. "That's one hell of a ship." Blake nodded. "Indeed it is. Now let's show the Zarnak what humanity is capable of." The StarDestroyer, now fully operational, hovered above the ocean, its sleek dark hull reflecting the sunlight. It was a symbol of human ingenuity and resilience, a testament to their determination to protect their home at any cost. As the StarDestroyer set a course to join the fleet, Blake knew that the upcoming battle would be unlike any other. The stakes were higher than ever, and failure was not an option. He steeled himself for the fight ahead, ready to lead humanity in their most critical battle yet. "Engage the enemy fleet," Blake commanded, his voice unwavering. "Let's show them what Earth is made of." As the Indomitable and its escort fleet approached the Zarnak Armada, the tension on the bridge was palpable. Blake knew that this confrontation would determine the fate of humanity. He opened a channel to the Zarnak flagship, its imposing silhouette filling the view screen. "Ambassador Kratak, this is Captain Nathaniel Blake of the United Earth Fleet. Withdraw your forces or face the consequences." Kratak's sneering face filled the screen, his yellow eyes gleaming with malice. "You have no power here, human. Your threats are meaningless." Blake's gaze hardened. Very well. Initiate Operation Stardust. The Star Destroyer, previously concealed beneath the ocean, now loomed behind the fleet, its colossal form a testament to human ingenuity and determination. The Zarnak ships seemed to hesitate, their commanders uncertain of this new threat. Prepare for battle, Blake ordered. All ships defensive formations. Star Destroyer, target the lead Zarnak cruiser. The Star Destroyer's weapons powered up, and in an instant a beam of concentrated energy lanced out, striking the Zarnak cruiser with pinpoint accuracy. The alien ship's shields flickered and failed, and it erupted in a ball of fire and debris. Direct hit, Harris reported, unable to hide his satisfaction. The Zarnak didn't see that coming. The Zarnak fleet regrouped quickly, their ships spreading out to encircle the human forces. Blake watched their maneuvers closely, analyzing their tactics. They're trying to flank us. All ships adjust formation and hold the line. The battle was on, and the void of space filled with the deadly dance of warships. Plasma bolts and energy beams crisscrossed the darkness, each side striving for dominance. The Star Destroyer proved to be a game-changer, its devastating firepower cutting through the Zarnak ranks. Blake coordinated the fleet with precision, directing the smaller ships to exploit weaknesses in the enemy lines. The Indomitable led the charge, its weapons blazing as it took out Zarnak fighters and support vessels. "Captain, we've got multiple Zarnak ships targeting the Star Destroyer," Harris warned. Blake glanced at the tactical display. "Divert some of our fighters to provide cover. The Star Destroyer must remain operational." As the battle raged on, it became clear that the Zarnak had underestimated the resolve and capabilities of humanity. The Star Destroyer continued to wreak havoc, but the Zarnak's sheer numbers threatened to overwhelm even its formidable defenses. The ocean roiled and churned as the Star Destroyer rose from the depths, water cascading off its immense hull. The crew aboard the Indomitable watched in awe as the behemoth emerged. Harris coordinated with the Star Destroyer's command team, ensuring that all systems were operational. "Star Destroyer is online and ready for combat," Harris reported. Blake nodded. "Engage the enemy fleet," Blake commanded. The Zarnak ships hesitated, taken aback by the sudden appearance of such a powerful adversary, but hesitation quickly gave way to aggression. Kratak's voice boomed over the communication channel, filled with rage. "Destroy that ship!" The Zarnak fleet shifted focus, converging on the Star Destroyer with a barrage of weapons fire. The Star Destroyer's shields flared under the assault, but held strong. Its return fire was devastating, plasma cannons and railguns tearing through the Zarnak ranks. Blake watched the tactical display, his mind racing to keep up with the fast-paced battle. "All ships, concentrate fire on the enemy flanks. We need to break their formation." The human fleet responded with precision, their coordinated attacks pushing the Zarnak back. The Star Destroyer advanced, its weapons carving a path through the enemy lines. The Zarnak flagship, a massive dreadnought, moved to intercept. "Target the flagship," Blake ordered. "Let's see how they handle a direct hit." The Star Destroyer's main cannon charged, a hum of energy filling the bridge. The beam shot out, striking the Zarnak flagship with tremendous force. The ship's shields buckled, and explosions rippled across its surface. "Flagship is heavily damaged but still operational," Harris reported. "Keep the pressure on," Blake said. "We can't let them recover." As the battle continued, the human fleet pressed their advantage, pushing the Zarnak closer to defeat. But the Zarnak were relentless, their desperation driving them to fight even harder. Blake knew that the outcome of this battle would determine the fate of humanity. Failure was not an option. He steeled himself for the final push, ready to lead his people to victory. The battle was fierce and unrelenting. The Zarnak, confident in their numerical superiority, were unprepared for the sheer power of the Star Destroyer. Its plasma cannons tore through their ships, and its advanced shields deflected their attacks with ease. Blake coordinated the fleet, directing the Indomitable and other ships to strike strategic targets. "Focus fire on their cruisers," Blake commanded. "We need to thin their ranks before they can regroup." The Star Destroyer launched a volley of missiles, each one streaking toward a different Zarnak vessel. The explosions lit up the dark expanse of space, each one a testament to human engineering and determination. But the Zarnak fought back viciously, their ships closing in on the human fleet in a desperate attempt to overwhelm them. "Incoming fighters," Harris shouted. "They're targeting the StarDestroyer." Blake turned to his tactical officer. "Deploy our interceptors. Keep those fighters off the StarDestroyer." The human interceptors, sleek and agile, launched from the Indomitable and streaked toward the Zarnak fighters. The dogfights that ensued were brutal and fast-paced, the pilots executing daring maneuvers to outflank and outshoot their opponents. As the larger ships continued their deadly dance, Blake's eyes were drawn to the Zarnak flagship, still holding its ground despite the damage it had taken. "They're not giving up," he muttered. "We need to finish this." Blake directed the StarDestroyer to focus its firepower on the flagship. The colossal ship's main cannon charged again, the hum of energy resonating through the hull. The beam of concentrated energy lanced out, striking the Zarnak flagship dead center. The shields flared and collapsed, and a series of explosions tore through the alien vessel. "We're making progress," Harris reported, "but they're still fighting hard." Blake nodded, determination etched on his face. "We'll keep pushing. They can't hold out forever." Amidst the chaos of battle, a Zarnak boarding party managed to infiltrate the Indomitable. Alarms blared as the ship's internal sensors detected the breach. Blake and a team of Marines rushed to intercept the intruders, their weapons at the ready. The corridors of the Indomitable were filled with the sounds of combat. The Zarnak warriors, tall and muscular with scales that glinted in the emergency lighting, fought with brutal efficiency. Blake and his Marines engaged them in a series of fierce skirmishes, their pulse rifles firing bursts of energy. Blake led his team through the smoke-filled corridors, his mind focused on protecting his ship and crew. As they rounded a corner, they came face to face with a Zarnak warrior. The alien roared and charged, but Blake's Marines were ready. They opened fire, their shots hitting the Zarnak squarely and dropping it to the floor. "Keep moving," Blake shouted. "We can't let them reach the bridge." During the skirmish, Blake discovered that a member of his own crew, Ensign Clark, was a traitor. Clark had been feeding information to the Zarnak, hoping to secure a position of power in the new order. Blake found him trying to sabotage the ship's defense systems. "You're a disgrace," Blake spat, disarming Clark and handing him over to the Marines. "Lock him up." Clark sneered, his eyes filled with contempt. "You're fighting a losing battle, Captain. The Zarnak will crush you." Blake felt a surge of anger but kept it in check. "Not today," he said, turning away. "Secure the ship. We've got a battle to win." With the Zarnak boarding party neutralized, Blake returned to the bridge. The battle outside was still raging, but the human fleet was holding strong. The StarDestroyer continued to lay waste to the Zarnak ships, its weapons cutting through the enemy ranks. "Status report," Blake demanded as he took his place on the bridge. "The Zarnak are retreating," Harris reported, a note of triumph in his voice. "We've pushed them back." Blake allowed himself a small smile. "Good. Now let's finish the job. All ships, advance and mop up the remaining forces." The human fleet surged forward, their combined firepower overwhelming the scattered Zarnak ships. As the last of the enemy vessels were destroyed or forced to retreat, a cheer went up from the crew of the Indomitable. Blake stood tall, his heart swelling with pride. "We did it," he said quietly. "We protected Earth." But even as the battle wound down, Blake knew that the war was far from over. The Zarnak would regroup and come back stronger. Humanity had won this battle, but the fight for their survival was only just beginning. The battle raged on, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Blake received a distress signal from one of the Earth ships, the Resolute. It was under heavy fire and on the verge of being destroyed. Blake ordered the Indomitable to move in and provide support. "All hands, brace for impact," he shouted as the ship rocked from enemy fire. The crew responded with practiced efficiency, returning fire and protecting their comrades. The Resolute managed to withdraw to a safer position, thanks to Blake's quick thinking. The Zarnak continued their relentless assault, but the human fleet, bolstered by the StarDestroyer's firepower, held its ground. Blake knew that a decisive action was needed to turn the tide fully in their favor. He scanned the tactical display, looking for the right opportunity. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Arcturians," Harris reported. "They're offering to join the fight." Blake's eyes lit up. The Arcturians, a peaceful alien race that had long been oppressed by the Zarnak, possessed advanced technology and formidable ships. Their involvement could be the key to victory. Patch them through. The view screen flickered to life, revealing Commander Thal, the Arcturian leader. Captain Blake, we stand ready to assist. The Zarnak have been a scourge on our people for too long. Together, we can end their tyranny. Blake nodded. Welcome to the fight, Commander Thal. Let's show the Zarnak what happens when you underestimate humanity and its allies. The Arcturian ships, sleek and bristling with advanced weaponry, joined the battle, their arrival causing a ripple of uncertainty among the Zarnak forces. Blake seized the moment. All ships, concentrate fire on the enemy flanks. We need to break their formation. The combined human and Arcturian fleets moved with precision, their coordinated attacks pushing the Zarnak back. The StarDestroyer, its weapons blazing, led the charge, carving a path through the enemy lines. The Zarnak flagship, heavily damaged but still operational, moved to intercept. Target the flagship, Blake ordered. Let's see how they handle a direct hit. The StarDestroyer's main cannon charged, the hum of energy resonating through the hull. The beam shot out, striking the Zarnak flagship with tremendous force. The ship's shields buckled, and explosions rippled across its surface. Flagship is heavily damaged but still operational, Harris reported. Keep the pressure on, Blake said. We can't let them recover. The human and Arcturian fleets pressed their advantage, pushing the Zarnak closer to defeat. But the Zarnak were relentless, their desperation driving them to fight even harder. Blake knew that the outcome of this battle would determine the fate of humanity. Failure was not an option. He steeled himself for the final push, ready to lead his people to victory. In the midst of the conflict, the unexpected arrival of the Arcturians added a new dynamic to the battle. The sleek, advanced ships of the Arcturian fleet slipped into formation alongside the human vessels, their presence a beacon of hope. Welcome to the fight, Commander Thal, Blake said, his voice steady. Let's show the Zarnak the strength of our alliance. The Arcturian ships moved with a fluid grace, their weapons systems engaging with pinpoint accuracy. The combined human and Arcturian firepower created a devastating barrage that the Zarnak struggled to counter. For the first time, the Zarnak faced a unified front that could match their ferocity and strategic cunning. Captain, the Zarnak are attempting to regroup on their eastern flank, Harris reported. Blake studied the tactical display, his mind racing. Commander Thal, can your ships disrupt their formation? We need to keep them off balance. Consider it done, Captain, Thal replied. The Arcturian ships peeled off, their engines flaring as they accelerated toward the Zarnak flank. Within moments, the coordinated assault began, Arcturian energy beams slicing through the Zarnak ships with surgical precision. The Zarnak forces reeled from the assault, their formation breaking apart under the relentless attack. Blake saw his chance. All ships advance, press the attack. The human and Arcturian fleets surged forward, their combined firepower overwhelming the Zarnak ships. The StarDestroyer continued to lead the charge, its massive cannons tearing through enemy vessels. The Zarnak flagship, now heavily damaged, was struggling to maintain its position. Captain, the Zarnak flagship is vulnerable, Harris said. This is our chance to end this. Blake nodded. StarDestroyer, target the flagship. All ships, cover the StarDestroyer and keep the Zarnak off our backs. The StarDestroyer's main cannon charged once more, the energy building to a crescendo. The beam lanced out, striking the Zarnak flagship directly. The ship's hull cracked and buckled under the force of the blast, explosions rippling through its structure. As the Zarnak flagship began to disintegrate, the remaining Zarnak ships faltered, their morale shattered. The human and Arcturian forces pressed their advantage, cutting through the remaining enemy vessels with ruthless efficiency. Blake watched as the last of the Zarnak ships either fled or were destroyed. The battle was won, but the cost had been high. Many brave souls had given their lives to protect Earth and its allies. He turned to Harris, a weary but triumphant smile on his face. We did it. We've shown the galaxy what we're capable of when we stand together. Harris nodded. The Zarnak won't forget this day. They'll think twice before challenging us again. Blake looked out at the battlefield, the wreckage of the Zarnak fleet a testament to their victory. He knew that the fight for humanity's survival was far from over, but for now they had won a crucial battle. And with new allies by their side, the future looked a little brighter. With the Zarnak fleet in disarray, Blake saw an opportunity to end the conflict decisively. He ordered all ships to concentrate their fire on the Zarnak flagship. The StarDestroyer led the charge, its weapons blazing. The Zarnak, recognizing the imminent threat, regrouped around their flagship, trying to protect it from the relentless onslaught. Kratak's voice echoed through the comms once more, filled with desperation and rage. "You may have the upper hand now, human, but you will never defeat us." Blake remained unflinching. "This ends now, Kratak. Your tyranny ends today." The combined firepower of the human and Arcturian fleets was overwhelming. The StarDestroyer unleashed a barrage of plasma bolts and railgun rounds, each impact tearing through the Zarnak defenses. The smaller human and Arcturian ships darted around, exploiting every weakness, every gap in the Zarnak formation. "Captain, we're detecting critical damage to the Zarnak flagship," Harris reported. "Their shields are failing, and their engines are down." Blake nodded, his expression resolute. "Prepare for the final strike. All ships, target the Zarnak flagship. Let's finish this." The StarDestroyer's main cannon charged once more, the energy humming through the ship. Blake watched the tactical display, every sensor locked on the Zarnak flagship. This was it, the moment of truth. "Fire!" Blake commanded. The beam shot out, a blinding lance of energy that struck the Zarnak flagship dead center. The shields collapsed entirely, and the beam tore through the hull, igniting secondary explosions throughout the ship. The Zarnak flagship shuddered, its structure collapsing in on itself. Kratak's final message came through, filled with bitterness and defiance. "This isn't over, human. You may have won this battle, but the war continues." Blake stared at the screen, his voice calm but unyielding. "It is for you, Kratak." The flagship exploded in a brilliant flash of light, the shock wave rippling through space. The remaining Zarnak ships, seeing their leader's demise, broke formation and began to retreat. The human and Arcturian ships gave chase, mopping up the remnants of the enemy fleet. The battle was won, but the cost was high. Many brave souls had given their lives to protect Earth. Blake stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, looking out at the wreckage of the Zarnak fleet. The adrenaline of battle was wearing off, replaced by a somber recognition of the sacrifices made. The United Earth Council hailed him as a hero, but Blake knew that the real heroes were those who had fought and died. He vowed to honor their sacrifice by ensuring that humanity remained vigilant and prepared for any future threats. The StarDestroyer, having played a crucial role in the battle, returned to its hidden lair beneath the ocean. Chief Engineer Samantha Reyes oversaw its descent, ensuring that it would be ready for any future need. The ocean swallowed the colossal ship once more, its surface returning to a deceptively calm state. As the surviving ships of the human and Arcturian fleets regrouped, Blake received a transmission from Commander Thal. "Captain Blake, on behalf of the Arcturian people, I thank you. Today, we have not only defeated a common enemy, but forged a bond that will stand the test of time." Blake nodded, gratitude and respect evident in his eyes. "The Arcturians fought bravely. We couldn't have done it without you. Together, we have shown the galaxy that unity is our greatest strength." In the following days, the Allied forces worked together to assist the wounded, repair the damaged ships, and honor the fallen. A memorial service was held aboard the Indomitable, attended by representatives from both Earth and Arcturia. Blake spoke of the bravery and sacrifice of those who had fought, their legacy a beacon of hope for future generations. As the ships prepared to return to their respective homes, Blake took a moment to reflect on the journey ahead. The victory against the Zarnak was a significant one, but he knew that there would always be new challenges, new threats to face. The galaxy was vast and full of unknown dangers. But for now, humanity had proven its strength and resilience. They had stood up to a powerful enemy and emerged victorious. Blake felt a renewed sense of purpose, a determination to lead his people with honor and courage. As the Indomitable set course for Earth, Blake looked out at the stars, his mind already turning to the future. The fight for humanity's survival was far from over, but with allies like the Arcturians and the power of the StarDestroyer at their side, he knew that they would face whatever came next with unwavering resolve. The stars beckoned, and Captain Nathaniel Blake was ready to answer the call.